and listeners. Don't worry, got a little bit of his and hers. Just vibing, it's gonna be the mission from morning to night. So buckle up and ride with Michelle and Kyle. Coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day life. 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 Fashion forward, passion, you know it. Attraction, good morning from Good Day Live. Yeah. Michelle and Kyle, coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day life. Good day life. Good day life. Good day life. Coming at you with the greatest guests and listeners. Don't worry, got a little bit of his and hers. Just vibing, it's gonna be the mission from morning to night. So buckle up and ride with Michelle and Kyle. Coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day life. 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 Fashion forward, passion, you know it. Attraction, good morning from Good Day Live. Yeah. Michelle and Kyle, coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day life. Good day life. Good day life. Good fashion. Good morning from Good Day Live. Yeah. Michelle and Kyle coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day live. Good day live. Good day live. Good day live. Coming at you with the greatest guests and listeners. Don't worry, got a little bit of his and hers. Just vibe, it's gonna be the mission from morning to night. So buckle up and ride with Michelle and Kyle. Coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day live. 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 Fashion forward, passion, you know it. Attraction, good morning from Good Day Live. Yeah. Michelle and Kyle coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day live. Good day live. Good day live. Good day live. Coming at you with the greatest guests and listeners. Don't worry, got a little bit of his and hers. Just vibe, it's gonna be the mission from morning to night. So buckle up and ride with Michelle and Kyle. Coming at you with a smile. So come and stay a while. Good times are the only style. Good day live. 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 Fashion forward.
Hi, welcome to Life 2.0 Live. I am Marissa.
And I am Natasha, and we are going to be your hosts today as we navigate this awesome first week of January, and it's all about
Living your best life in 2023. And we're breaking it down into five buckets. And we're going to be talking to some experts in the field. We're going to be talking to each other about what we have been thinking about going into the new year. I'm really excited because this is the kickoff for my show, Life 2.0. We're teasing it the whole week with live broadcasts here. We are live from Brentwood, California in Los Angeles. We're very excited to be with you. And Life 2.0 will be coming to you on television and streaming across multiple platforms. But this week we're kicking it off live. We are here today. You might be wondering where Kyle and Michelle are. They are your hosts for Good Day Live. They are normally here with you Monday through Friday, but
They're
here.
They're away.
They're away.
And we are here. But we will also be doing Live 2.0 live as the weeks in the year unfolds. It's not
Yes.
just this
Right,
week.
that's
I want to
true.
just make that
Yeah,
clear.
that's true.
Because
Yes.
it's, that's what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
just sharing, being intentional about life.
Yeah. So the impetus for Life 2.0 really came about when I got divorced. So I've been divorced separated. We're still in the process, but it's close. We're getting there. But for 3 years now, and life really changed. You know, it was, as we've talked about, I started dating a lot. That was interesting to date for the first time as an adult ever. Had some really interesting experiences, continue to have some really interesting experiences. And also my girls are getting older. They're almost going to be out of the house within the next few years, which means I have more time to figure out what I want to be doing and how I want to be spending my time. And I'm on like career number 25 now.
Exactly.
So I do a lot of different things than what I set out to do, especially out of college, for example. And I came to you and Andy, my producers, and I said, I have this idea for this show about how, like, as women, particularly as women, we our lives unfold differently than how we expect them to or how we think they're going to. And I wanted to really explore that in a very organic and transparent and vulnerable way. And so, you know, talking about financial health and physical health and mental health and friends, relationships, our kids, all of it.
All of it. And we're going to be discussing all of it with experts in the studio this week.
Yes, and I'm really
So that's
excited.
gonna
We
be
have
fun.
some fantastic experts that are coming on to talk with us about all of these things: our dating health, our friendship health, our physical health, our nutritional health, all of it. So
So it's going to be fun.
yeah, and we're good friends, and so we get to talk today. We're doing today's show, and we're kind of setting it up for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your New Year's?
Well,
Let's talk about it. Since we're fresh into the year, how was New Year's?
A little different than
A
expected.
little different than expected, yeah.
So we had planned to actually do Live 2.0 from the Fairmount in Century Plaza and streaming live. And
did. It was going to be a great live show,
It
too. I was all
was.
decked. I had my sequin top on, my leather pants, really high, like 6-inch heels, ready to go. And then
we pulled the plug.
They pulled the plug. They pulled the plug on us.
So we had a very different, unexpected, but lovely New Year's with
did.
people that we love.
We did.
And that was really, really good.
Yeah.
So you started to tell me earlier that
God, yeah, what did
Lexi had arrived.
Oh,
So you were out. Lexi
yes.
you arrived home, Lexi was out.
yeah, so a week before New Year's, I think I might have been here in the studio. I got a text from my 17-year-old child. And I say child intentionally because she is still a child, even though she's a teenager and, you know, is becoming an adult, saying that she wanted to host New Year's at our house. And at the time, that was actually before we had even thought, or maybe it was maybe it was 2 weeks, because it was before we even had committed 100% to doing a live show. And I was like, okay, well, I do have plans, but I can, you know, I can be home to chaperone my 17-year-old and her friends, because I wasn't really sure what was going to come of that. And I also had told her friends, they had been over for a holiday party, and I had told them that if they wanted to do something at our house, that was fine, but that I was going to take their keys and they needed to sleep over, because I knew that, you know, whether I was there or not, it could potentially end up, there could be some, you know, maybe light drinking. So you never know what happens with 17-year-olds. So I had said, like, this will be a safe place where you guys can come and hang out,
Yeah.
but I will take your keys and you have to sleep over. So anyways, about a week and a half before, she came to me and she said, I actually think I want to host. Originally, she said, no, I don't, because they wanted to be able to go out and go to parties and drive around. And I think as it got closer, they were kind of like reevaluating what the night was really going to look like. And they were starting to think, thank God, I just really want to be with my friends, which was kind of nice.
But that's also nice because of the weather in
Oh
LA.
my
was
God.
just-
It was crazy. It was so crazy. So for those of us that are watching and not here with us in LA, we don't get a lot of crazy winter weather. We're pretty status quo year round. Well, on New Year's, it was a downpour, and the streets around me were flooded, and there were trees down, and there were lights out.
Where we landed up going for dinner.
I mean,
there was like a river.
We had to like walk through a river to like get into the restaurant. It was
So when
crazy.
I eventually drove out of the parking, there was Andy standing in
Yeah.
the middle of the road. He jumped in my car so I could take him across the road.
Amazing.
Because it was such a big
Amazing.
river.
Amazing. Well, you rescued him. Oh,
And that's why we have the fireplace.
that's why we
here,
have a
because
fireplace now
It's
on our
all
set.
about.
It's
you know,
cold
it's
in
cold
LA. It is
LA.
cold. Like, what is happening?
It's yes, you can see it's 56 degrees right now.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cold for LA. I mean, even wintertime during the day. So anyways, long story short, my daughter decided to host some of her school friends at the house. It wasn't a large group. It was relatively small. They started at our house. There was no drinking. We had a really nice, like, fun spread. I actually have pictures of it.
You'll have to share.
I'll have to share, yeah. Really fun spread for the girls. They had dinner. And then I left to meet you guys and to hang out. And while I was gone, they left. They drove to a party in like the pouring rain. I was tracking them on Life 360,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I never do. For the record, like, I really don't track them. But I was so nervous that she and her friends were driving in this weather, because they're all good drivers, but they're also all inexperienced drivers. I
just
mean, they've been
don't- yeah.
driving for like a year, like a year plus, a year and a few months. So anyways, I got home after we were together. They were still out. They got home maybe 15 minutes later. Okay, this is the best part.
Yeah.
Stone cold sober. I'm gonna probably get in trouble for saying this. They like stripped down to their like, under things.
Yeah.
And ran around our neighborhood in the pouring rain screaming, all of them. And then they came back to my house and they did a polar plunge. They jumped into our freezing cold pool.
That's my thing.
Yeah, yes, I actually thought about you. I was like, oh, if Natasha was here, we could do a New Year's polar plunge. So they did a polar plunge, and then they got out, and then they had some champagne at midnight. They had a toast. They hung out. They played games. They all slept over.
That's good.
And
That's fun.
It was really fun. My younger daughter came into my room, and we were asleep by 12:45-ish. And apparently they were up till 4:30 in the morning. I had said I would give them all like a bagel breakfast the next morning. They all got up the next morning and left. They were probably exhausted and wanted to be in their
Yeah.
own beds. And my daughter, she cleaned a little bit and then she slept the entire day. But I have to be honest. I have to be totally honest. It was a really yucky, cold, rainy day. I was up, but I stayed in my pajamas until 4 p.m.
Oh, that's.
It was lovely.
That's lovely.
It was lovely. I got dressed to go to dinner with my daughters and our neighbors, and then I came home and got back in pajamas.
That's very cool.
I got out of bed to feed my dog, to feed my kids. I read. It was
was
a
just the
lovely,
perfect weather for
it. Was
it.
a perfect January 1st. How was your January 1st?
It was. I'm trying to even think. It was pretty uneventful.
It was cold.
It was cold.
It was cold,
I was
yeah.
cold. I actually was going to go to the beach
Really?
and swim because I haven't done that this year yet.
Yeah. Well, this year it's been 3 days.
Well, I
Cut
had
yourself
two
some
perfect,
slack,
I had
Natasha.
2 perfect opportunities. I didn't come into the studio for 2 days.
2 days. Okay. I will go with you to the beach. I really want to. The beach is my happy place. Love being near the water. What?
Yeah, we have this amazing book
yeah,
here.
which is why this has become like my inspirational when I'm doing my visualizations. And this is Randall Kaplan's book Bliss, with pictures of beaches from all over the world that we've talked about, and I absolutely love it. It's a gorgeous coffee table style book, and it has lots of beaches that are in, like, look at these,
That's
just gorgeous,
magnificent.
magnificent
Yeah.
pictures. Like 70% California coastline, which I've talked about how much I love that. But yeah, so my happy place is at the beach, but I haven't been this year either. So I would love to go with you. I can't promise you that I'm going to actually get into the water and swim.
That's okay. It makes me so excited when I'm about to do it. I'm like, yes, and I just like going.
It's like, I would imagine it's incredibly invigorating.
It is. It's like the most life-affirming experience that I've felt.
Yeah, I would imagine. I'm going to choose different life-affirming experiences, if that's okay.
But my whole body just feels alive.
Alive,
Every cell
yeah.
in my being just feels like it's like buzzing. It like.
I get that after sex. I mean, that does it for me too.
Maybe I just haven't done it right.
I mean, is it too early to go there?
No,
I mean,
never.
okay.
Never too early.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of swimming in the ocean, but I love putting my feet in I love being there. I love being at the water.
I love the beach.
It's-
I'm not
yeah,
a
I
big
love
fan
it.
of swimming in the ocean either, but I really.
The water's warm, I'll swim. I love to snorkel. Do you scuba dive?
No, I cannot.
Oh, okay, right. I wonder have you heard there's this new activity called, I think it's snuba
What's that?
diving? It's where you are able to go down, I don't know if it's as deep as scuba diving, but it's, you're attached to something that's up at sea level.
Oh, okay.
But you're able to go down further than snorkeling. So I think it's somewhere in between like scuba and snorkeling, but it's become like a pretty, like a practical way for people who want to go deeper than just snorkeling. It's
Yeah.
become a way for them to explore
Well,
the
maybe
ocean.
I could do that.
I know.
don't
I was
know.
thinking that you might
I
be
think we
able
have
to.
Michelle in the chat.
Oh, do we?
Yes. So we are
Oh.
glad that you are with
Hi.
us today.
Hello,
And
Michelle.
hope you're having safe travels.
Yes. Enjoy your time with your family.
And
And we got it covered while you're gone.
yes.
Doing Life 2.0 live.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this down,
Yeah.
put this back, and we might talk about that more
Andy,
later.
there's the white split. There's the white split, isn't there?
We
I might not be on those buttons, though.
live. We are live. Okay, so I wanted to. So on Life 2.0, we're going to be exploring all of these different, like areas of growth.
Yeah.
That we specifically as women go through and kind of help us
I like it.
redefine our the path of our lives.
Yeah.
Right. So like part of what happens is and I think that this is true of so many people, that we kind of grow up on like, we're gonna do this and then you're gonna do this and then you're gonna do this, and your life is kind of mapped out for you. And when you get out of college, it's the first time you're able to really think for yourself and make decisions for yourself. That being said, a lot of what you do is based on what has come before,
Yeah.
right? Like you've been planning for the day you are out of college and an adult living on your own, right? And I think that that's kind of where we are in our 20s and even our 30s. And I think then all of a sudden we start to look at our life and go, because I think sometimes we get into our late 30s or our early 40s and we look at our life and we're thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what speeds up that process is when something actually, like there's like a cataclysmic, something that happens in our life, right? Like whether it's a divorce or a sickness or some type of grief from loss of friendship or family, right? Not just death, but like even losing a friendship and, you know, all these things, kids leaving and going off to college, becoming empty nesters, all of these, a new job maybe that completely rocks your world because it completely changes the work-life balance that maybe you thought you had or you recognize you didn't have at all. And so that's really what Life 2.0 is about. And taking all the lessons that we've learned and figuring out how to apply them into Life 2.0, right?
Yeah. So like Randy Garr said, when he was in the studio, he said, if you're not focusing on your own goals, somebody else people use you to focus on their goals.
That is amazing and so true.
Yeah.
So true.
So that's it. It's like if you're not being intentional about your life,
Yeah.
life is just going to happen
To you.
to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think you sent me that on Instagram. You sent me the jar. I meant to actually bring a jar in here. I'm going to bring it tomorrow.
How cool is
I know.
that?
I love
wanna do
that. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, but I wanted to like shake it up a little bit and do, in addition to, I'm going to bring it in tomorrow. We'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. But in addition to one thing that you like accomplished that week, on the same Post-it, right? Like, then one thing you are looking forward to for next like, because
yeah.
I think one of the things that is missing for a lot of people is we're not consciously aware of what we have in our life that's really great and good. And I mean things from really little things like looking forward to going to lunch with you next week at a new restaurant we've been wanting to try, to the really big things, right? Like a new job you're excited about, or your child got into the college they wanted to get into.
And you forget.
You forget, right. And so, one of the things that I feel and I see all the time when I work, especially with teenagers, is they're focused on what's wrong with my life, as opposed to recognizing, embracing, remembering, reminding themselves what do I have that's going for me?
Yeah.
And most of us actually have quite a bit that's going for us. But we need to be like really focused on that. That's why people write a gratitude journal, right?
Yeah.
That's why they
But
talk
it's also
about
like
gratitude.
we're not predisposed for gratitude and happiness. Our
Why?
brains and our bodies are
Why?
not. We have to.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that? I mean, I agree with you, and I
You
think
have
it's
to
really
train yourself.
unfortunate. I think it's.
I think it's partly, we still are hunters and gatherers, and to be aware of, that constant threat on our lives is that constant survival threat. It's like the weather's changing. There's a lion out there. There's there's a bigger predator coming after us. So maybe that's why it keeps us attuned to that. But we're
interesting
no
'cause-
longer involved in that world. And
Yeah. Although our brain is.
our brain still
Our
is,
brain
though.
is still there, and our brain is
Yeah.
first and foremost a survival organ.
So this is like,
Yeah.
I also read this a while ago, is that, you get into these little stresses continuously all the day,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. Yep.
And your body goes into fight or flight or freeze.
Or freeze. Yep.
But they're so minor that you don't even realize it. But
Right.
your body's reacting in that
Yeah.
way still. So it builds up this just continuous stress upon stress upon stress upon stress,
Yeah.
and you're never closing the loop.
Yeah.
So I read this, there was this guy, and he was determined to, he wanted to close the loop.
Yeah.
So when he had a little stress, he'd go to the bathroom, or he'd go outside, and he'd jog on the spot for a few seconds,
Yeah.
because he just wanted to release that energy, because
Yeah.
that was his response.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of that too, one of the things that I teach in my private practice with my clients is that, and it's very similar to what you're talking about, but we have an internal emotional tank. I always give the illusion of an internal gas tank, right? Yeah. And everything that we go through during the day chips away at it a little bit, right? And that's what you're talking about. All the little stressors, they chip away with it, right? An interaction you have with your boss, a friend, your child, a spouse, whatever it is, things chip away at it. Something comes up, right? And before you know it, your internal emotional tank is really low and depleted, and you don't have the energy and the brain power to get through the end of the day, or to do the things you have to do in the latter part of the day, whether it's taking care of your kids or your homework or whatever it is. And so one of the things that I practice and I preach practicing is mindfulness.
Yeah.
Because that's a way also to, throughout the day, to take care of yourself. And this gets back to something that we've talked about a lot when we've done shows together, is self-care, right? And knowing what self-care.
That's what I did a lot of.
You did?
The last 2 days.
I
I
love
lay
that.
in my sauna blanket.
You did?
3 times a day.
I love that. It's funny because I actually thought about you and your sauna blanket, because so also on Life 2.0, we're going to talk about beauty treatments and fun all these things that are happening that we can do to keep ourselves refreshed and feeling good, right? On the inside and on the outside. And I thought about you because I got this, my neighbor got this product that I wanted to share with you. And this is, I think, actually like the first thing I want to try, and it reminded me of your sauna blanket, which I also want to try this year. This is apparently all the rage. I don't have it. I just have the box. This is called a Faceware Pro Mask LED. Can you see that? Yeah. And it is supposed, oh, Natasha just disappeared. I bet she's going to show me something. Anyways, so this apparently, it helps, it's FDA cleared, which is always good when you're trying something new. And here, I'm going to show you, right? So it's a face mask that you put on your face, and it's supposed to help with the reduction of fine lines, wrinkles, and the treatment of acne. So just like one more thing to do, it is LED. It's got 2 different settings on it. So it says over 97% of subjects showed overall improvement in fine lines, wrinkles, skin tone, and acne in a 10-week daily use. So this is the first thing that I am going to. I have to purchase it, and it's a little expensive. So I'm gonna. You what?
I don't have spice.
Oh. So anyways, I'm going to get one of these. I'm going to start trying it every day. I think you have to use it. It says 3-minute wrinkle and acne fighter. And you have to use it every day. However, I feel like I can donate like 3 to 10 minutes to this to see if it actually changes my face. So we're going to see. I don't know. It talks about like inflammation and bacteria and your skin tone and all of these great things that, even though it's quite an investment, if you do this instead of, or in lieu of maybe some of the other treatments that are even more expensive, then, who knows what might happen. So I'm excited to try this. This is going to be one of my 2023, one of the first beauty things that we try. And it looks like, are you set up? Are you ready?
We're actually getting you all set up.
Oh, you're getting me all set? Oh, God.
You're going to try it right now.
I'm going to try it right now. Okay, but does that have like...
This is the light therapy. This is not a...
is it red? Because this has...
It's red light.
It's red light. Yeah. So this one has 3 treatment settings. It's anti-aging, which is red light, acne fighting, which is blue light, and then anti-aging and acne fighting is red and blue light together. So that has red light, which is anti-aging.
Yes, red and blue light together.
Okay. And how, oh my God. And live television, people. Okay, here we go. How long do I have to keep it on for? Oh, this is so weird. I feel like I'm, what's that movie with, Star Wars?
Oh, yeah?
I feel like, wait, it doesn't feel like it's on.
It is on.
It is?
Yeah, I can make it flicker if you want it to flicker.
No, I don't need it to flicker. Oh, it's flickering. It's like strobe lighting in here. Woo! It's a party! I need some music. Woo! So how long do I keep this on for?
Well, I've got it set for 28 minutes, but you don't have to keep it on.
What? Natasha, 28 minutes in this thing? I can't really see. It's not meant for little people. Like,
well, we could maybe you have to.
Am I supposed to be lying down for this?
I have no idea.
Is that better? It's got to be like the weirdest angle ever. I mean, this is and it's very heavy on my face, I have to say.
So yeah, well, that's as you get to experience it.
It doesn't feel like anything. Does it feel, is it supposed to feel like something? What do we think?
I don't think it's supposed to feel like anything.
My only issue with this, I can't drink my coffee through it.
No. You could have a straw maybe? Maybe you need
a straw. If I had a straw, I could do it through here, maybe. This is like very weird. It feels very weird.
Well, you've already done 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. So how long? So 28 minutes? I have to.
Well, no, that was just set at 28 minutes. I'm sure there's.
I like that it has a. I like that it has this neck thing.
Yeah, so it does your neck as well, which is pretty good.
Yeah. But then I should like move my hair. Uh-oh.
So
Neck
we
down.
have Kate. Oh, so you got to just clip it back in there.
Should I just do it like
hold
that?
there. So we have Kate in the chat who said the one thing that her friend did in 2020 was have a gratitude jar.
Yes.
And it was one of her most challenging years. And the small little papers added up, and she was grateful every week. She told me it was very helpful, and she's going to read them all.
Yeah, I love that, Kate. And I will tell you, so I keep a gratitude journal where every day for 2 minutes, I time myself because I don't want it to be like a stressful, something that is stressful or something that is not manageable to keep up.
Yeah.
I don't like setting unrealistic expectations for myself. So I keep a gratitude journal. I write just for 2 minutes a day, and I write something that I'm really thankful for that day. And I look back at it, and it has served as like a really great reminder of things that have happened that I am really thankful for.
Yeah.
And like really little things to really big things.
Because, you know, like I told you that I keep an accomplishment list at the end of the day.
Yes.
Because I struggle to see like what I've actually done.
Yes.
And
I want to do the other side of that. At the beginning of the day, set up here are 3 things I want to get done today, and then make sure I do those.
so I have that, you know, too. But I stopped keeping my accomplishment list towards the end of the year, which I've started again as of this year. So now everyone can keep me accountable. But I would even struggle that day. I would be like, what did I do?
Really?
Yeah, because it's really something that I'm not that.
Have you gotten better at it?
I have gotten better at it, and definitely keeping the list also helps. And it also like made me like, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, like I've got this in this beautiful golden and leather-bound journal, like type leather, not real leather. So it's beautiful. So I get to keep it on.
It doesn't feel good to write in a journal that's like really like beautiful.
Yeah, it's important for me.
Yeah, I agree. I love actually journal shopping. That's why I was so upset when my journal got ruined.
Well, we gave you another one.
I know. And I've been writing in it.
And that was just, we gave it to you before you even told us about it.
Yeah, I know.
Getting ruined.
I know. It was very like apropos. The timing couldn't have been better. Should I be keeping this on?
If you want to, but I don't think so. I think it's time for it to come
it's time for it to come off. So here's my feedback about this.
Tell us what you think.
It felt like I was having a party inside
Well,
my
I
head.
did make it flicker.
Look, I want so people can see what I'm talking about. See how it's like blinking like that? So it literally feels like there's like a
But I can
strobe
take the
light
flicker off
going
and
off.
just be solid.
No, but it was fun, but it needs music next time. Then I'm gonna like dance around while I have this on my head. So,
But it's good, you know, like it's good to stack things. So, like when I was lying in my sauna blanket this weekend, I didn't just lie in my sauna blanket.
yeah, what did you do beside that?
I did my morning meditation in my sauna blanket.
Okay.
And then I did my evening meditation in my sauna blanket, which I don't usually do.
Okay.
And then I did watch 2 episodes of.
Did you finish
What?
My Unorthodox Life?
Yes, I finished it, but that was last.
Oh,
I finished it last week.
Oh, we have to talk about that. Okay.
But I watched Daughter from Another Mother.
Oh, you did?
I watched 2 episodes of that.
Of the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
it
my
gets so
goodness.
good. It gets so good. And I also love it because I love watching subtitled shows. I know some people really don't. They think I'm crazy. But I especially love shows that are in Spanish because I just feel like it helps my language, my ears listening to it. So anyways, so I guess I'm going to be doing this.
So you can stack. So you can think of something that you're going to do, and you put that on, and you do.
The only thing about this one, I will say, and I don't know, I would love to read more about this specific one. It was really heavy on my face. Like I felt like it was really heavy in this area, and I feel like I don't know how long I'd be able to keep it on my face. But what's interesting is my face feels different right now.
Oh, does it?
It really does.
Oh, wow.
Do you think that that's like mental? I had it on for like 4 minutes. Do you think I'm trying to convince myself of something?
You said that this one
3
you
minutes
could do it
a
3
day.
minutes a day.
Yeah.
So yes, you should feel something different.
Maybe, I don't know. So I know. So my neighbor said I could use theirs, and now we have this one. It would be really interesting to do both. To do both of it. Anyways, so this is something I'm gonna try. And I like your I like your idea of stacking things. Excuse me, because I don't think it should be either or.
Yeah. So I know that we have another host in the studio, and she's also all about like life hacking and stacking.
Yeah.
And she likes to lie down on her back with her legs like raised at 90 degrees.
Okay.
And so she does that, and then she'll meditate at the same time,
Yeah.
and she'll put her face
do-
mask on.
Oh, so she's doing all of
three
three-
things at the same time.
Wait, so she's
Lying on her back
yeah,
with her
a
legs
90
up at 90
yep,
degrees.
Yep.
And then she
Meditating
is meditating
and has her face
face
mask
mask on.
So she's probably meditating. Does she meditate to a program or just on her own? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah.
That's
I think
yeah.
a variety
That's
of
actually
things.
yeah. That's actually. I think I could try that. I think I could do that. Okay, so the sauna blanket. Tell me about the blanket. What does that do?
So it's an infrared sauna blanket.
Okay.
It's not just a heat
So-
blanket.
right, yeah.
So it's infrared light, which is really good for healing and rejuvenating your body. And,
Okay.
And that, and also the heat.
Especially in this weather, it's so nice.
No,
No, is it?
the heat causes your body to have a healing response.
Oh, okay.
So it actually, it also, they've done studies that it feels like you are inducing exercise even though you're not.
Really? Because you're sweating.
Because you're sweating and with the infrared.
Okay.
So they recommend that you do it at least 3 times a week, and they've done huge studies because in Scandinavian countries using infrared saunas is
Yeah.
a really big thing. So they're able to do long-term studies, and there we go, Andy has it up there. That's exactly what I look like. But
So
mine's
that's
an
something
old-
else. I have all these
Yeah.
things I need to invest in this year. It's going to be a very expensive year for me.
Mine's a much older model, and it's much bigger.
How much do they How much do they run? Like a good infrared blanket, and can you get it on Amazon? Is that do they sell them on
They
Amazon?
do have them on Amazon. I did not.
Huh?
That's an Amazon one, but I did not get mine on Amazon.
Okay.
I can't remember what I paid for mine.
Okay. What's the range of them? Do you
You
have any
can get.
idea?
I've seen them on Amazon for like $100 and something.
Really? Oh, huh? The one that we're
That's kind
showing
of
is
was mine.
500.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine was about.
I was
500 or 600.
thinking that it was going to be like an investment a little bit. So okay, so far we're 3 days into the year, and I want an infrared blanket. I want the light mask thing, which is also about $500.
Oh, but they have one too. The same company where I got mine from,
Yeah.
they have the infrared
the mask.
mask
Yeah.
thing. I can't remember how much it was.
But I feel like I'm into my health already for $1,000.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I said was we were talking about this. Was it last week or the week before? It was the week before, when we covered for Kyle and Michelle, and we
Yeah.
did Good Day Live. And I was saying that 2023 was going to be my year to like overhaul my health, me.
That was my 2021.
That was your yeah. So which is part.
And that's
like,
when I got my
and
sauna
that's-
blanket.
Right. So, but it's expensive to do this.
It is.
It's really expensive. Can I talk to my producers about getting paid for I mean, hello. I need to invest in myself.
It is. It's a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah.
Like
in
I
order
changed.
to, yeah.
Like I have no more plastic containers in my house.
Yeah.
I have, it took a little bit of time to like
To do the overhaul.
To do the overhaul
Yeah.
because there's so many things that you're changing and so many things that you're doing.
Well, my guest who is going to be on the show on Thursday.
I'm so excited.
Her
about
name
this.
is Sherry Levy. I cannot wait to bring her on. She has a company called My Sexy Strong Life, but what that really refers to is.
Oh, I know her.
Do you know her?
Yes, I actually
did
went to
you?
see her.
You did?
Yeah, she did a whole gene and
Yeah, she did. She do the
and she did Dylan's
the
too.
nutrigenomic.
She's
analysis.
awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has overhauled her life. I've known her for over a decade. She is the one who is responsible for at the very beginning of my starting to think about how I feed myself and my children. She was the one who we were trying to figure it out. We were on the phone last night, probably back in 2012 or 2013 or 14, somewhere in there. There we go. That's Sherry.
Yeah.
So she'll be joining me in a few days. So she was the first one who she introduced me to GMO-free foods. Because at the time I was saying, God, I really want to do all organic, but it was so expensive. It's gotten better now because it's more prolific. There are so many ways to be a healthy eater now. But back then there weren't as many, and back then, like it was 50 years ago.
No, but
but
it is
so
like
much. Think
even-
about how much
but
has
even-
changed in the
even
last
like
decade.
In the like the 10 years that I've been here, it's been a huge.
It's been a huge difference. Yeah.
Even in I want to say in the last 4 years, it's been a huge
Yeah,
shift.
it's been. I agree with you completely. And to that point, actually, I think I told you this. I was at Trader Joe's last week, and I hadn't been there in ages because I just haven't. I've just been shopping elsewhere, and so I went with my daughter. She really wanted to get like some of her favorite Trader Joe's foods. They had a whole section. I'm not talking little things. A massive section dedicated to vegan food.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the craziest thing. I literally, like, even now, like, I'm still speechless about it. I couldn't believe the real estate that they had given to this. It just really says something about, we live in LA, so it's a little different here than everywhere else.
Yeah.
But still, it just really goes to show how there is this massive transformation. And so Sherry was the one who really brought my conscious thinking about food, essentially, and how to feed myself and my family. And she took me to the market, and we shopped
She's
together.
So awesome.
And
It took me a second for when you said "sexy strong life." That's when it clicked.
It clicked, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. She's so great. I love her. She's doing so many amazing things. And I said to her, I was like, I want you to do like your whole process on me, but I'm gonna have to pay you like in installments. Because, but yeah. So she's a functional medicine practitioner, and she works with nutrigenomics and epigenetics, and
So fascinating.
it's
It was so
fascinating,
fascinating.
yeah.
And I have some health issues, and so I went to see her.
when did you go see her?
I was still married.
Oh,
so
wow.
must have been 2018, I think.
Okay.
So I actually met him through.
I know exactly how you met her. I had a feeling. As soon as you said you recognized her name, I was like, oh, I bet this is a connection.
I met her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I wasn't. Yeah, I was.
Did you
maybe it
guys
was
go the same
2019.
year?
No.
Okay, you went before her, right?
I went after
Oh,
her.
you went after her. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I was just newly separated. But yeah. So I went to her and I did the thing. And what was the beginning? I think being in LA and having access to all these incredible things.
Yeah.
Makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Because I know back in South Africa, like I was doing all kinds of strange things and investigating all these things about like, your health and your body and your wellness and your, but I was really on the fringe. It was really out there. And here it's just so normal.
It's so normal. Yeah. I wonder sometimes if someone's watching us from like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the United States, where like it hasn't quite reached to the extent that we have it here. If they're like, these people are like crazy. Like, what are they talking about? Right?
So yeah, so I wanted to do this thing. There's this treatment, and you hold these electrodes and you put your feet in water, and it like takes like fungus,
like toxins and chemicals.
the toxins and chemicals out of your body.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how real it is. It looks like it's real. I don't know if the water just changes color or whatever it is. I don't know, but I really wanted to do it.
Let's do it live.
So
Can we get someone to come here and do it?
I'll find out. Yeah, I'll find out.
You know what else I
did
wanna
it in
do?
South Africa. So the
Oh, you
night
did?
before my pacemaker.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it afterwards because it sends an electrode to your body. I went for like a 3-hour session.
Oh my God. And did the water turn all
Oh my God, it's disgusting.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It was so interesting.
Interesting.
But that's what I'm saying.
so
like I've always
curious.
been on this thing
Yeah, of like
about,
trying new things.
trying new things,
Yeah.
but also like, your body, you only have one body.
Yeah.
You have to kind of look after it.
I wonder, and this is a question that I am excited to ask different experts that we have come on, but like, how much is too much? How much trying new things is too much of a shock to the body, right? Like,
I agree with you because I think there is a point, and I think
Yeah.
there's also the point that your mentality gets stuck in there's something wrong with me that I need to fix.
yeah,
Because
yes.
you keep searching for the next thing. You keep searching
Yeah.
for the next thing. Because I know, like,
Yeah.
with part of my journey, I was doing that. I kept saying, I need to heal, I need to heal, I need
Yeah.
to heal. And someone actually brought up that question to me, it was a few months ago. And they said to me, you don't think you are healed and you just need to get stronger? And that was like a big thing because I kept feeling like I was broken
Yeah.
and I needed to fix myself.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I just needed to like look at it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's important also when people do come into our lives and present different ideas or ways to think about things, to listen to what they have to say and to think about it, but also to reflect on the fact that that's also they're coming from their journey.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't always necessarily mean that what they're doing is something that would even be right for our body. In fact, one of the things that Sherry talks about is, you know, there are right times to exercise, right times to sleep, right diets to be on for different people based on their body types. And that often we're actually doing things to our bodies that we shouldn't actually be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited to have her on and to talk. And later in the week, also April will be coming onto the show.
Very awesome.
Very
We
excited
love
to have April.
here at Studio Place in
Yes.
general. We love
Yeah.
April. And
Yeah,
she's
April's a dating coach, and I've been talking to her about coming on to Life 2.0 for a bit now, and I'm very excited to have April on the show. So she'll be coming up later. So what I wanted to do is for us to kind of break down the 5 different areas that we're thinking about with respect to our lives going into 2023, and how do we do this intentionally? How do we think about this intentionally for 2023? Oh, there's April. Yay. So April's going to be coming on the show on Friday, and I'm so excited to talk all things dating and relationships, and, you know, maybe she'll set me up with someone. Like, April.
Unless you've met somebody before then.
Unless I've met someone before. I might have a date or two. No, well, you never know. Last week's date didn't go over so well. That one was one and done. Okay, as I like to say.
One and done.
One and done.
You say one and done. I used to just, my constant thing, and I used to say, my aunt used to answer before me in like this whiny voice.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not for me.
Yes.
He's not for me.
Yeah.
Like every
love
time
that.
she'd say to me, like, how was your date? And I'd go, and before I
And before you can even say it.
just you could hear the sigh, and she'd go, and he's not for you. And I'd be like, yes, he's not.
It's
for
not
me.
for me. Yeah. There is someone out there for everyone, but that one was not for me. That's what I will say. And I feel a little bit badly because that was, you know, there are like a couple guys that I've been talking to off and on for like a long time. Was this the one who picked
an awful place? Was that the date? Is this the date we're talking about?
Yes. What is it about? I don't want to generalize. I was going to say, what is it about men?
No, it's not.
It's not, because there are lots of men that are very forward-thinking and proactive, and they like to plan. But yeah, some of the dates that I've been on lately, and this was another one. Huh?
We might have a financial
planning. Yes,
planning.
Financial planning tomorrow.
And then we've got like some people who want to come on next week, so we'll have to do this.
Yeah, we'll have to do. Yeah, we'll have to do more of these, more of these shows. Okay,
but
yeah.
What were we saying? Oh, about men and planning. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just a men thing. I just think it's a laziness thing.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree that it is a laziness thing.
And I'd love to actually ask April about
Yeah.
it. It's like, I feel
I
like
can't wait to
today-
tell her about these 2 dates that I've had where I did this. I'm so excited to get her opinion on it, because also I legitimately, as you know, I legitimately did not mean it as like a test,
Yeah.
right? Like or that I was playing games. And so I feel like I need to explain for our audience or anyone who might be watching what happened. So this was months ago now. I had a date. It was a 3rd date, so not a first date, a 3rd date. So clearly, like, I liked the guy. We'd been having a nice time and hanging out. He was very busy. I was very busy. Whatever. It was hard to find time. So that is sometimes a little bit of a red flag for me, because I'm like, if you can't find time to hang out once in a while, what? Oh, right. Yes, our red flags. Sometimes we can do that in a bit. So, anyways. So he lives on the west side, and I had come to the west side for the first 2 dates because I love to drive and I don't mind driving.
Yeah, but let's also get very clear here. You
Yes.
drive to the other side of the other side of the city for a sandwich.
This is true. This is true. I will drive to the other side of town for a sandwich because my favorite sandwich in all of LA, we will take you there if I can get my producers to go with me on location, is in Larchmont Village. And it is so good, and I drive for it when I'm craving it. And not because I'm pregnant, just because I'm craving it, which does happen every so often, and I drive for it. So anyway, so he said, he was like, I'm coming to the Valley. I don't know it that well. Give me a list of restaurants and I'll make a reservation. Great. So I gave him, I don't remember now. Do you remember how many I gave him? Like 4 or 5, something like that. I gave him a plethora, enough to choose from. And I gave him all different kinds, like some really low key, some more trendy, like loud, some on the lower cost side, some on the higher cost side. I didn't tell him, like, of that group, one of my favorite restaurants was in the group, but I didn't say which one it was.
Which one is it?
Petit Trois.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. You did tell me.
In my hood.
In
my
that
hood.
area,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like if I want if someone says to me like I want to go out for a really nice dinner but I don't want to drive, okay, let's go there.
Yeah.
But often I usually go over the hill for those types of dinners, come over to the west side. But anyways, so that was on the list. I knew he wasn't going to pick that one because it's pricey, and I get that. And it was like middle of the week, and I wasn't expecting him to pick that at all. But I had it on the list because he said to me, like, tell me your like favorite restaurants. So it wasn't like I was just picking random restaurants. I gave him 4 or 5 of the restaurants that I go to a lot that I like. So that was on there. So long story short, he ended up picking the least expensive. Yes. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? Go ahead. I feel you wanting to interject. And I'm scared. What do you want to interject? Oh, that's Petit Trois. That's where I
Yes.
would have liked to have gone.
Exactly.
That is not where I went. I ended up going somewhere that I really love. Don't get me wrong.
But it was the lazy option.
Yes, it was yes, thank you. That is how I'm going to refer to it from now on. It was the lazy option. It was also the taco option, and I don't know what it is with this. I am going to generalize, but flippin' men in this town, because this is where's the red flag? The like guys who on their profiles talk about how much they love tacos. I don't care. I don't care that you love tacos. Like, that is not something I need to know about in your profile. It's just not.
Yeah, I don't.
Right? So anyways, he chose the taco restaurant. Fine. It was a good restaurant. It happened, again, it's one of my favorites. It is a go-to for me and my girls. We went to...
Exactly. Please note, it is a go-to for you and your girls. It's
Yeah,
not a go-to
it's
for
not
a
a
date.
go-to for a date. In fact, no. I actually ended up going with a good friend, not a date, a guy, but like a meal.
it's
like,
not a date
It's not a
place.
date place. It's really not. Or it's a date place if like you've been together for 4 or 5 months and you're like, let's go grab a quick dinner.
meal.
Like, let's
It's
do
not a
something
da-
chill.
it's not a
low-key.
date night.
It's not
It's
a
like-
third, like, I'm still trying to impress you phase type of date. Whatever. And after that, I said to you, I didn't intentionally go into this trying to play a game or test him, but after he picked that, I felt my reaction was, oh, like if that's what he's picking, like where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And it ended up kind of feeling like a date fail. And quite frankly, that was the last time I saw him. Not because of the restaurant, I just want to say, but still, it played into it.
It did play into
it.
it.
Played into it. Yeah.
Also showed a side of his personality, a side of him.
Totally. Yeah, no, for sure. So that was a few months ago. So last week, there is this guy that I had been talking to off and on for 2+ years.
Yeah.
Like, never met in person, never actually had a phone conversation. My bad. Never
Yeah.
doing that again. But lots of texting, and off and on. We would go months and not talk, but then we would always somehow come back to each other. And anyways, he
So when you
Yeah.
would go months without talking to each other, did you rematch on an app, or did
No,
one of you reach out?
One of us just would reach. It was often him. I think maybe I might have once or twice. It was usually him. And you know, like we've talked about this, how like men sometimes, like, you know, if they're talking to you and then they disappear for a few days or even a week or two, you know, they're like going on dates and then it doesn't work out and then they reappear. They like come back into your stream. They're like, here I am again, right? So anyways, so that would happen. But so I've been talking to this guy for like 2+ years. And we just, you know, my kids were
not really talking. You've been texting.
Texting off and on. Yeah,
because...
texting off and on for 2.5 years. He would send me lots of pictures. So I felt like I had a really good general like idea of what he looked like. Like he was sending me like current pictures, like here's me today at work, here's me today, whatever, right? So I thought I was getting an accurate representation of this person. Don't ever don't ever trust pictures.
Because that's exactly what I was going to say. The fact that he's sending so many pictures, like, isn't that also a little strange? Like, you're not...
I'm not showing...
You don't know that person.
Oh, I thought you said let's show pictures. I'm not showing pictures.
Like, you don't know the person.
I don't.
What am I sharing? Would you be sharing pictures with him?
Well, I didn't share nearly as many, no. Like, for every 10 of his, for every 20 of his, I would share, like, one.
Yeah, like, that's maybe more normal.
It was a lot, yeah. So, anyway, okay, fine. So, maybe I, like, missed a red flag. Who knows? You know, I'm still learning. Huh? No, so here's the thing. Here's the thing about the picture.
Did he use filters?
Did he what?
No,
he didn't use filter. No.
Did he airbrush them?
He angled it a certain way, which is what I realized. What? See, women get this, men don't.
He made himself look...
He made himself look taller, bigger. Anyways, whatever. Again, he said to me, he was coming over. The whole thing was a little bit like, once we started getting close to planning it, I kind of immediately was like, there's something off. Because one of his offices is in Sherman Oaks, which is kind of near where I live and where I was working that day. And he said, but he lives over here on the west side. And he said, where do you want to meet? And he had about an hour. He was meeting me in between people that, you know, were in in the middle of the day, in between work stuff, commitments. And so he said, why don't you let's get coffee. I only really do coffee or drinks now for a first date. I've learned, although I happen to have a dinner date next week. So we'll see what happens. I think it's a dinner date. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, so
Did you not suggest this as a brunch place as well?
No, what I said was, so he was like, I only have like 60 to 90 minutes. Let's just grab like brunch or coffee or, you know, and I was like, great. Here are some places that are around me that are great. So I listed 4 places, all of like my go-to brunch, love them, all like very middle of the road, like not expensive, not super cheap, but not expensive at all. And like, whatever, it's brunch. It's like $15 a person, 20 at most, right? Yeah. But then the last line of my email was, and if you're really in a hurry or you just want to grab a cup of coffee, we can go to Starbucks. What does he pick?
Starbucks.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love Starbucks. I drink Starbucks every day, okay? I'm a huge fan of Starbucks, but not on the first date. like, be creative. I don't know. And then, but okay, so that going into it, I was like, he picked Starbucks, fine. But then so I got there early. I told you I got there early. I wanted to get my own coffee. I didn't want him to pay. I just wanted to like sit down, get a place. So I did. I sat, I waited. He walked in. I knew it was him immediately. He walked over.
Did he look like his pictures?
So he does.
What was different about his pictures?
So he looks like his pictures, except that he's like not as tall and he's much thinner and like not like his pictures made him look bigger, you know, like a little bit more built frame wise and taller and just like a little bit more filled. Like he was, you know, really thin, which is fine. Not my type, you know.
Are you sure he wasn't like airbrushing them or like editing them in some
I don't
way?
think so. Because I went back afterwards and looked at literally all the pictures that he sent, and I legitimately, because they're almost all from the same angle, and I think that like, and actually what's really funny is after I like went back and did that. I then went to the dating websites that I'm on, and I started looking at like the guys that I've clicked on that where they have taken pictures of themselves from that angle, and now I'm like swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. Like it's just not indicative.
What kind of angle?
Like from down here looking up, like they all look. It makes them look like bigger somehow, or I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. You know, it is all about the angles, though. It really is. I don't and airbrushing, but I mean, I don't do that. I won't, and filter, all that stuff that people use. And I legitimately don't think he was using filters or airbrushing. I just think that he had figured out a way to make himself look bigger. Yeah. You know, and my whole thing is like, just don't, like, I don't, you know, if I'm either going to like you or I'm not, but don't lie to me about how you look. Because we've talked about this over and over and over, but if you show up and you don't look like what I think you're going to look like, I'm done. Like, it doesn't matter if, yeah, he was that, producer Andy said he was that far off. Yeah, he was that far off. The problem is that, like, I know within 5 minutes whether or not I'm attracted to someone and whether or not there is sexual chemistry.
So how can you...
I was going to say 30 seconds, but I feel like if someone's watching, they're like, you're not giving anyone a chance. Because I've had guys that I've said that to, and they're like, that's BS because it can grow. But I have had guys like that I've really gotten along with online, and I show up in person and there's zero attraction. And I can't, for me, that doesn't grow. No. If it's either, it's there or it's not. And listen, I happen to be someone who, like, I'm a sexual person. That's an important part of a relationship, I believe.
I believe in that too.
Yeah, and I don't think that you can fake that. I am not someone that's going to fake an orgasm. Just not going to do it. I've had guys say to me, like, why won't you? Sorry, I'm not going to. Like, I won't.
Guys that you've dated have said that to you, or other friends?
So, like, some guys that I have, like after I've gone on a date, like when we've talked, because some guys I've, like, become friends with, and we've talked about, you know, like the whole sexual experience and whatnot. Yeah. I won't fake an orgasm. I know, like, every woman does it. This is way more fun. Have you ever faked an orgasm? You have? See? Everybody does it.
Mine was because I just wanted to be on that.
That is one way to end it.
Like, please, God.
No, I've literally had to say to guys, like, it's just not going to happen. I appreciate the effort. It's not going to happen. Oh, I had one guy, I was like, I'll just take care of it myself. It's fine. It's fine. Exactly. Now let's talk brain health.
Which is really
important. Yeah, so anyways, so that was that date. So yeah, so he showed up, and like within less than 5 minutes, you know, and I wasn't rude. I stayed there for an hour, and
I cannot believe you stayed there for an hour. I even called you and told you I had an emergency.
I know you did, and I really appreciate you trying to save me. I did, but I felt like, you know, out of respect for the fact that he took time out of his day, and we had a very nice conversation, you know. But the other thing was that there were things that came up in the conversation where he hadn't been fully honest, and so it wasn't
that's also a problem.
Totally, it wasn't entirely about looks or the feeling of chemistry not being there. That was absolutely true, but I actually, in his case, I could see how I would actually say to myself, okay, I'll go on a second date. But in this case, there were some things that he said in the course of our conversation where it wasn't that he had outright lied to me, but he had definitely kept some things from me. Yeah. And listen, it wasn't like we had just met like 2 weeks ago. Exactly. We've been talking off and on for 2 years. So how you don't tell me some of these things, it felt like, it kind of felt like he was lying, you know, like even like lying by omission. So
I know someone who has who's very out there and dating all the time, and he has arrived on a date. And he said, what would you like to drink? And she said, he ordered his drink or whatever, or asked her what she wanted to drink, and he said, I'm going to get wine, what are you going to get? She goes, no, I don't drink. He said, I'm so sorry, this is not going to work, and he left.
Wow.
And then he arrived at a date, and this woman didn't look at the way that she looked on her pictures.
Yeah.
And he said to her, when
Wait.
she walked in,
Yeah, really quickly before you tell that story, did he not know did she not say in her profile, like, sober, never? Because people can say that on their profiles.
yeah, he didn't. And drinking's a big part of his life.
Okay.
He loves wine. He loves drink. He'll,
Yeah.
like, he can start at 11 a.m. 7 days a
Oh,
week.
wow. Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, always.
And he arrived at this date, or he arrived first, or the woman arrived, whatever. And she was a lot heavier than the pictures that she had put up. And
Yeah.
he said,
Sorry, it's not, yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And he left.
It's, you know.
He said
and-
he's not going to waste his time when he knows that it's not going to go anywhere.
And I think, like, I do applaud that. I think that is admirable if you feel, you know, if that's how you want to handle it, and everyone has the right to handle it however they want. That, and I think also it depends. Like, if he had, like, let's say, jumped right into those, like, met him online and then scheduled a date fairly quickly. But I also feel like if I've been talking to someone, and, like, the least I can do is have, like, a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. But there have been a lot of time, well, every time basically now to date, where I've had to say at some point, you know, I'm just not feeling it for any number of reasons. And typically, you know, not to, like, toot my own horn, but typically, like, the guys are like, why? I totally felt it. Like, what's wrong? Or what, can we at least try, like, another time? And I won't do that. Like, I'm tooting my horn.
Toot, toot. You should.
Yeah, and I just, I won't do a second date. Like, to me, that's wasting his time, my time.
Yeah.
We're all too busy. I've got kids. Most of the guys I date have kids. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, so it's been interesting. It is interesting out there, people. If you've got dating stories, I would love to hear them. Yeah, so I'm excited to talk to April, because I'm curious what she says about that. Because now that I've done that, and kind of, like, unintentionally
I wanna
twice,
do that now,
I'm
too.
kind of like, I want to do it every time and see. But honestly, like, I really just want a guy to say, I'm really looking forward to spending time with you.
And
Here's
this is
what
where
I've
we go.
planned.
Yeah.
Here's what I planned. And like, I know that there are some women that maybe would feel, or even men in today's day and age, that would feel like that's a power move and they can't do that anymore. But, like, you can also say, I'm planning this. I'm looking forward to seeing you. You know, is this something that you think will be fun? Like, or do you think you'll enjoy this? Or maybe you can plan the next one, or whatever it is. Like, to me, that doesn't feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a power move. It feels more like, I'm excited to see you, and I'm intentionally thinking about how we're going to spend our time together. And by the way, I'm not a lazy person, which in this day and age, with the dating apps being what they are, and we've talked about this, I feel like they completely breed complacency and laziness.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same thing. But,
That's what I'd be interesting to ask April, is, like, why people become so lazy?
yeah.
Why does she think, or does she not see it?
Well, it's interesting because April is a dating coach / you know, she sets people up. So she deals with it from a little bit of a different perspective.
Well, I don't know. The person I went on a date with most recently from her was I thought was lazy. And we've discussed that.
Oh, yes. Oh, I can't wait to ask her about that. Did you ever tell her about that?
I told her everything, yeah.
Yeah, and what did she say about it?
She got me out of ever having to speak to him again, thank God.
Thank you. So April hasn't set me up with anyone yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, so that was last week's date, and he's texted a few times, but you know, I think I've replied like once or twice. But I immediately said to him we weren't gonna go anywhere. I said, you know, I won't lead people on. So and the other thing is, like, I'm not really looking, like, I've had some guys, like, try to stay in touch with me via text, and I don't really understand why. I think maybe their mentality is like, who knows, maybe I'll change my mind down the road. But yeah, I'm not changing my mind, people. It's not happening. It's not gonna happen. And I'm not looking for, like, text buddies, you know, like, there are a few guys over the last few years that, like, I dated and have, like, once or twice, and they've remained friends, right? Like, Florida guy.
Yeah.
Or I have another friend here who has become a friend, and we, like, dated a little bit a while ago, went on like a couple dates and clearly like wanted different things, but we're friends and we go out as friends, like hang out as friends. So, but I'm not like actively looking for more friends, especially men. So, you know, either they're going to be romantically in my life or they're not. And what about you? Are you dating at all?
I mean, I'm open to it, but I'm not dating.
Okay. Okay. Oh, can I say his name on live?
No. No.
There is someone who would love to date you.
Oh, there's a few people
You
who would
can
love
toot your
to date
horn.
me.
Toot-
There's a few people that would love to
Yes.
date me. I just don't want to date them.
Yep. I have that too. Yeah. Because, you know, we're kind of awesome. We're kind of awesome. Okay. Speaking of being our awesome selves in 2023, let's talk about the 5 different areas that we're going to really be focused on this week. So the first is our physical health and well-being, and really looking at what's going on internally, how we're taking care of our body internally, what we're doing for our organs and the blood and the central nervous system and the autonomic nervous system and our brain health and all of the things that really make us like thrive and live well from a physiological perspective. And so that's one of the things that Sherry will be talking to us about. The next is our mental health and well-being, our emotional health, which is, as you know, something that I really love to talk about. It's one of the areas that I'm really focused on for myself, for the people that I work with, whether it's parents of young children, tweens, teens. And I think especially one of the things that we've learned post-pandemic is how important our mental health and well-being is, and how it can either really lift us up or take a massive toll on us. From, you know, and how our emotional health can actually affect all of these other areas that we're talking about. So I actually think that our emotional health and well-being is the most important thing that we have to be thinking about and dealing with. I know there are a lot of people that would disagree with me and say that your physical health and well-being is what's most important. And that's why I like having these conversations, because I like hearing people's opinions and I like learning about all of the different ways that we can take care of our bodies, both physiologically and emotionally, mentally. So that's number 2. Our second is our social well-being. So focusing on our friendships and our relationships. And having some like really serious conversations around that. Obviously, we're joking and we talk about my dating life and the craziness that's out there for anyone who's dating in this lovely city that we call La La Land. Well, that's not what that's where we filmed last week live, 2 weeks ago. But yeah.
And we will be back there
And we
again
will
because
be
they've
back.
just opened up a new store. So
I know,
we will
I'm
be going to
very
the new store.
excited. I'm very excited because I
Because
happen
the
to love.
weather.
Yeah, the weather is
permitting.
weather permitting. It's been rainy in LA, so we're in the studio today. So number 3 is social well-being, friendships and relationships. And I'm actually really excited to share something that I learned yesterday about friendships, which we'll talk about in a minute. The 4th is our financial well-being, because, you know, finances are something that people do not like to talk about. No. Finances also tend to be one of the top stressors in our lives, whether we have a lot of it or none of it, or no matter where we are on the spectrum, because we were all raised really differently when it comes to finances, and we don't have a good framework for talking about it with each other, and even for understanding it ourselves. And I actually truly, truly believe that there are very few people in this world who really, really understand their finances and have a good handle on how to have good financial health. I don't. I will flat out, I will be transparent about that. It's one of the things that I really want to get under control in 2023. I really want to work with some people, like put a team together of people that can really help me. You know, I pay my bills and I sort of have a budget, but I need to really understand, like, and I'm invested, you know, I have a 401k and a Roth IRA and all these things, but I don't really understand like what it's all doing. Like it's all out there. I don't really understand what's happening with it. And so I consider that my financial health and well-being. And right now it's like I have like a failing grade. I give myself a failing grade because I I just don't have enough of a grasp on it. And I think that that is true especially for a lot of women, unfortunately. And so that's an area that I definitely want to focus on and spend time. I really want to help all people, but women especially, be in control of their finances.
So I was listening to Candy Valentino interview somebody, I can't remember who it was, and she was saying how important, the person she was interviewing, how important it is. She was actually involved with writing of Rich Dad Poor Dad.
So this is Candy Valentino's book called Wealth Habits. So go ahead.
And she was saying that when you realize that you're going to get into a relationship with somebody, so you've gone on a few dates, you go on a money date.
Really?
And there are questions that you need to ask each other about how were you raised, how did your parents do with money, how do you deal with money? And then you actually lay it all out on the table, where you're the same, where you're different, and what do you want to change about yourself, what does the other person want to change, and how you can do this together.
That is fascinating. And I'm willing to bet that 99.9% of people are not having that conversation. I don't know that I ever had that conversation with my ex-husband, to be perfectly honest. I think we both entered the marriage with, we were raised very differently when it comes to finances, and I just let him kind of take over and be in charge, much to both his chagrin. Like, I'm sure he would have liked more help from me, and I would have liked to learn, but I just didn't. And I allowed myself to but we never had those conversations. Even in the course of our relationship, we never really talked about it. So I'm curious. So she says to have that on what date? Like, how far in?
As soon as you know, like pretty close to the beginning, like once you know that this is actually going somewhere, like you've been dating for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Because that could ruin your relationship.
Yeah. Well, and I do
think it's such a big thing.
It is a huge thing.
Ruin your relationship. So you need to be on the ball with it.
And open about it. I mean, I do think one of the factors when it comes to financial health and well-being is being able to have the conversation. And I know for me, the only conversations I don't have are the ones where I don't feel educated about them, and I don't feel like I can talk about them in an intelligent way, essentially, right? And have like real, genuine thoughts around it and feedback around it. And I don't think I've ever really felt that way about finances. And so it has definitely been an area that I have shied away from. And gosh darn it, 2023 is the year I take that back and I take control and I figure out, finances and how my money is working for me and what I need to do to make it work for me better. So we'll be talking a lot about that as well. And then the last area is like productivity and success, and really finding balance between work, hoping that you like your work, that your work is something that you enjoy and that you are passionate about. If it's not, what does that mean? And assuming that it is, what is that balance that you have between your work and your personal life? So these are the 5 areas that I really want to focus on, in the course of Life 2.0, but also just this week, and next week. And as we do these shows, these are the kinds of, we'll be bringing on experts about this and really shedding light in these different areas of these different buckets.
I think that's important. So one of the guests that I had on my show, the regressive hypnotherapist, and I asked her, like, what do you do? Like, how do you take people through your steps, and how do you heal people? She says she thinks that there's 9 areas in your life that you focus on. Okay. And she believes that you focus on one area at a time, and you get that mastered, and then you move on to the next.
Interesting.
But when you really when you feel like you're working on the one area in your life, you'll see that it starts to infiltrate all the other areas. So you might want to be focusing on finance, and suddenly you realize like your organization or your time are actually factors into that. So you start working on those things, and this whole thing.
So it's kind of like a domino effect.
Yeah.
So she doesn't believe you can be working on different things,
she
like
thinks
consciously.
It can be too overwhelming.
Okay.
To be working on so many things all at the same time.
Yeah, I do see how it could be overwhelming. I do definitely see if you're trying to accomplish all of these different goals. But one of the things that you and I have talked about is like, do we set New Year's resolutions or not? Right? And we both.
Did you see that I sent you that thing?
I did. I played the game. I called it 2023 roulette.
Oh, no. But I
What?
sent you, Andy and I listened to a podcast, and at the end of the podcast, I told you to listen at the 46th
Oh,
mark.
I haven't yet.
Oh, at the 46-minute mark,
Yeah.
they both chose a word for the year.
They did?
Yes.
Really? Okay, now I have to listen. Okay, but you have to now explain this, like what you're talking about, what we're doing.
And I've heard
instead
so
of
many people
resolutions.
do it. Like
yeah.
I saw someone else on Instagram doing something like that. Their word
Yeah.
for the year is, oh, April did it.
Oh, she did? What was
Yeah.
hers?
I can't remember.
Oh, good. I'll get to ask her about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm down. So what we're talking about is Natasha and I spoke 2 weeks ago about whether or not we were going to do New Year's resolutions. And one of the things that I said, and I genuinely believe this, is I personally think that having a New Year's resolution is setting yourself up for failure from January 1st. Because the statistics around like whatever it is you say your New Year's resolution is that like a massive amount of people are not doing it 3 weeks later. And that kind of snowballs into just other things that you thought you were going to do that you're not doing. And so what I feel is easier is what you had shared with me, your experience of, and actually not easier, but more intentional and really a way to live a life, with the intent of growth is to pick a word and for everything that you do that year to keep coming back to that word and for that word to kind of exemplify or be an umbrella, if you will, for like how your year might unfold. Am I describing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of weeks ago, we both were debating what our words were going to be. Have you gotten any closer?
So, no.
The bottom
haven't.
line is no.
I haven't got closer. I mean,
Okay.
I've been thinking about it. I want my year to be somewhere where I am. There's a few things that it comes into.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in fear anymore.
Yes.
I want to
Fearless.
be unapologetic about who I am.
Yes.
And I want to take action that is associated with those two things, where I'm not having the fear. I'm not having the conversation in my head, well, what this and what this and what about this and what about, because I have lived so much in the last few years that it's really been about, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So I don't know what to do because I don't know what the consequences are going to be, where the greater
what's the right-
consequences are. So I feel like I should just do. And that's been coming up for me, we've been speaking about this, but I still have that conversation and I still don't feel like I still feel like I have to hide, which I don't want to.
Where do you think that comes from? The feeling like you have to hide?
Partly from my situation, and also partly just from life, experiences prior to that.
And what about the word bravery?
No,
No? Too simple?
I know that I am
Brave.
Yeah, like I know that I have the courage and the bravery.
I want your word to, I really like when you were talking about like being unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So I want your word to really encapsulate that.
That's what I feel. I feel like it's like that. It's just like I no longer am going to apologize for who I am and what I want to do. And
You don't want or like authenticity?
no, it doesn't, because I feel like I'm an authentic person.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm not authentic.
Yeah.
When I'm in a safe place.
Yeah.
There's all of these things. So
Yeah.
I just got to find the right tone for the word.
Yeah.
And are you any closer?
So I am still really gravitating towards Year of Yes, but I need a word that encapsulates that.
Why can't it just be the year of yes? Yeah.
I mean, yes could be, because the reason why yes can't be the word for me is like the same reason why you didn't want fearless to be your word, because there are certain things that you're just not going to do, not because you're afraid of it, but because for whatever the reasons are, right? Just like there are certain things that I won't say yes to because I'm a mom or because, you know,
But
and so
when I said to you, when I had the year of the yes,
Yeah.
year of the yes, for me it was the things that instinctually were an absolute no. There was
Yeah.
no way I was going to say yes to it. It's the
Yeah.
things that were a maybe that I said yes to.
right.
So the things that I was like, because usually I would be like, oh, no, I don't know,
Yeah.
and then I'd say no.
Yeah.
So the year of the yes for me was about, okay, those things that I have
I'm
that
on the fence about.
I'm on the fence about, I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am like every time. So last night I wrote down, I had 5 words that I was looking at.
So what were your 5 words?
I have to look at them now, but I can do that. Let's see.
Did you do that whirly word thing?
I did that, which we'll talk about next because I love.
And did you do the
that.
screenshot thing?
I did. Yes, I did. So, okay, so last night my words were that I was tossing around: bravery, fearless, acceptance, love, and year of yes. Those were my 5 ones. But I keep going back to year of yes.
I think it's a yes.
I mean, to me, that just feels,
Because I feel like those things are in the yes.
yeah. So I think that's probably what it's going to be. But like you said, I want to sit with it for a few weeks and see how that feels. And then, yeah, I think that's probably where I'm going to net out in the next couple weeks.
So what date is February? Excuse me, looking at my phone here. What date is February 1? What day, I mean?
Day of the week.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I have a thing. I just have an idea.
Yes.
February 1. Oh, it's a day. It's a Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Great. What's
We
your idea?
Cross the threshold here at the studio together and film it.
In new shoes. Wait, but you have to explain the tradition. I'm adopting, I was going to say borrowing, but I'm adopting Natasha's tradition because I loved it so much. We were talking about resolutions and Natasha said, well, I don't do resolutions. Here's what I do. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I adopted it from somebody else because
Okay.
I heard a podcast or I
Credit
read
where
about
credit
it
is due.
or whatever. And this was probably, I don't know, however many years ago. I mean, I was still living in South Africa at the time, so it was many, many years ago.
Okay.
So the tradition is that you think about you spend December and January thinking about your year, thinking about the word. So every December you kind of decide on the word, and then you feel it out in January and you see if this is the word that it is, and then on the 1st of February you cry. Well, I usually do it over my front
You left
door.
out the really fun part.
What?
That you go shoe shopping.
Yeah, no, I was going to say.
Sorry.
So usually not usually, on the 1st of February, I cross my front door threshold in a brand new pair of shoes. And I say, this is the year of, and I turn it into a little thing.
Yeah.
I've got some beautiful shoes because of it.
Oh, so this is an excuse to go buy a fancy pair of shoes. I'm excited. Add it to my tab of what this year is already costing me. But so I think we should go shoe shopping.
Okay.
And then we could film that too. That could be fun.
Oh, that could be
It could be
fun.
like, are these the shoes that we crossed the threshold in? Are these the shoes?
The one year I actually got a pair of shoes, a little bit, in December-ish.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
Because I love them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were gorgeous.
Really? Was it a good year?
Was the year of the yes.
Oh. Does it count if you borrow shoes, or do you have to get brand new shoes?
I'm sure you can borrow shoes.
Okay, I'm just trying to think about. Anyways, okay, so yeah, that would be fun.
They're new to you.
Yeah, totally new to you, right?
Yeah.
So that would be fun on February 1st. We do that. We do an unveiling of our words. We cross the studio threshold, right? What do you think, producer Andy? He's looking at me like, what? We're going to cross the threshold of the door into the studio. We're going to film it in our new shoes and say our word for the year. No,
Well, that's the whole
that's
point.
the whole
thing
point.
is you have to go this is the year of and step into
Step
the year.
into the year. I mean, we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
Production issues. We'll make it work. Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
So what were your words in the whirly word?
Okay, so this was so fun. So by the way, this after you sent it to me, I ended up seeing it all over Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
But in different ways. Okay, so the whirly word, is that what it was called, or is that what you've called it?
Well, that's what we called it, like, you know, when you have to circle the word,
Yeah.
find the word. In South
Yeah.
Africa, it's called a
The
whirly,
whirly word. Okay, so there was this this whirly word going around on
So
Instagram.
it's a whole, it's like a
Looks like
square of
this.
letters. It's just got,
Looks like that, right?
oh, no, that wasn't.
Are
the
you not
one.
talking about this one?
No. But that
Which
was
one are
a
you
cool
talking?
one.
Which one are you talking about? I don't think you sent me
The
another
word
one.
search one. Did I not send it
No,
to you?
you didn't send me that.
Oh, I thought I sent that to you.
No, you sent me the jar and this.
Oh, I sent you, okay.
Which, by the way, both I did, and both I love. So when you send me this kind of stuff, I like it. Okay, so but this one, so while you're finding that, I'm going to talk about this. So this was, let's see if I can actually, it was in,
yeah, it was in the message that I sent.
in Reels.
Yeah.
Did you find it? Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
you
looks,
show yours.
It looks like that. It's just going and going and going.
right, yes.
And then you take a screenshot and
You close your eyes and you take 3 screenshots.
Yeah.
And it depends. So one time I did it, it said to set your 2023 intentions, close your eyes and screenshot 3 times, and then it had different intentions. So the 3 that I got were, this is funny, invite more romance into your life. I'm trying, people. I'm trying. Intentionally drink more water. Definitely have to do that. My sister-in-law for Hanukkah and Christmas got me the Stanley Cup. You know, those like big, really trendy things that I don't know why they're so trendy, but they're so trendy right now. So
Yeah.
I'm putting water in that, and I'm going to be drinking that every day. And then the third one was start a gratitude journal, but I already do that, so it's okay. But so then I did a 4th one, and it was limit news consumption.
Oh, I got
which
that
I
one
thought
too.
you did. I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting. I don't. Are you like a big?
yeah, it's
A lot.
I know that it's
That's a big
that's
one
a
for
big
you.
thing for me.
Yeah. I read a lot of news, but I'm really good about turning it off. Like I don't after like 15 to 20 minutes of like getting the news, I literally make myself put my phone down because I know otherwise I can go down a rabbit hole and just like go from one article to another. Okay, so then the one that you sent me was the words, right? Oh no, you sent me the intentions. That one, the one that I just read.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I got
But
another one.
did I not send you another one?
So I got another one that was like that with the same exact thing, but it said 2023 will bring, and then it was different words. Like it popped up,
okay.
okay? So the words I got for 2023 will bring was clarity,
Yeah.
forgiveness, confidence.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I thought those were interesting.
So I got on my
the whirly word?
no,
oh,
that's
no,
not the
you're
word.
the
That's
other.
not a
Okay.
whirly word. So
Yeah,
the
what were the-
roulette,
yes.
the roulette.
Yeah.
I got fall in love with yourself,
Aw, I love that.
which I think
You think you've done that already?
I don't know. Like maybe I need to do more. Start a creative project
Okay.
and more weekend trips. Definitely not happening.
Those two are almost in conflict. Start a creative project and
exactly.
more weekend. It's like,
So I want to find this other thing that I did. Let me see.
so I thought mine were actually like the the ones that your 2023 intentions. I thought they were so apropos for me. It was really interesting.
So it says here, the first
Oh.
4 words you see is your mantra for 2023.
My mantra for 2023.
Well, that's what it said, but just have
Okay.
a look and then see.
Okay.
It took me a second, and then I'll have to look at it again, but I'll remember what mine were.
What if you don't see anything?
It took me like a little bit of time.
Okay. The first 4 words you see: gratitude,
Okay.
man.
Okay. Love it.
How crazy is that? Breakthrough
Oh, very nice.
and creation.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Pass it to me and I'll tell you what mine were.
Yeah.
Love, lessons, money, and then it was something else that spotted up over here.
Love, lessons, money.
Purpose.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
when I saw lessons, I was like,
Why?
like
It's
it's lessons.
lessons. Yeah. That is interesting. Those I've done those things before.
Yeah.
You know, like where it says like whatever you see first.
Because it's like, what is it called?
It's like your
Your
subconscious.
reticular activation something, and your brain is activated to see things that you focus on. So you experience life the way that you perceive it.
Interesting.
Because you are processing so much information all the time, but when
Yeah.
you train yourself, and the example that's often given is like you decide you want to get a new car, and suddenly you see that car everywhere.
All the time, yeah.
Because your brain is activated to think about it. So your brain is activated to think about these things,
Right.
and that's why
you
pop
pick out
to them.
those. Yeah, that's interesting. You know what I would love to see with that? I would love to see a list of all of the words that are in there that
Well,
like
people
you
have
could,
commented and
Yeah.
said what their words were, and
Yeah.
I was like, I never saw that. Like,
Yeah, like,
because
I
then
bet
I
there's
looked at
some
it after
really-
the words came up. Connection, care, change, alignment,
Ooh.
gratitude, power. Let's go all the comments. Let's see.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. Alignment is a really good word.
Miracles is one that we didn't mention.
Interesting.
Let's see here. Strength, creative. Yeah, like not a lot of people commented, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah, these like I do think like all these like mind games and things that you know you can play on Instagram and other places. Some of them are really fun, and I completely agree that. So I think of it a little bit differently. I think of it as like intuitively. That's what we're thinking about. That's what's top
But I
of
think
mind.
that's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like because that's what we're in. That's what's
yeah.
in our heads. That's
Yeah.
What, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So yesterday I was at lunch with a good friend of mine, my friend Melissa, and she told me about an article that she read in the New York Times, and it was all about living a happy life, like what it means to be happy. And it was based, I'm gonna grab this so I can like do this justice just for a moment. Oops. Because it is. Huh? I mean, it's like an old computer and it dies on me like randomly if it's not charged. So, you know, is what it is. Okay, so the title of the article was the 7-Day Happiness Challenge. It was written by Jancy Dunn, who
Yeah.
I reached out to. Jancy, get in touch with me. I want to talk to you.
You should speak to Dr. Armin as well,
Yes, and also
because he's all about the happiness.
happiness.
He wrote about a book called The Happier You, and he
Okay.
did a whole like 30-day happiness challenge.
Okay, interesting. So I would love to. So I'll do that. And also,
love to
who
speak
did
to him. I
the
think he's
woman that
incredible.
came on a couple weeks ago after I
the
did the
happiness
Rock to
coach.
Recovery? Yeah,
The
and I
happiness
interviewed
coach.
her. I'm
what was
blanking on her name right
Andy?
now, but I'm gonna have her on also. I've
think
reached out to
yeah.
her already. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but here's what was interesting. So, you know, I'm like a science-y geek person. Like, I
yeah.
love research and I love science studies, and I like knowing the why behind the what. Like,
Yeah.
that, for me, that's like a really big thing for anything, right? And so Jancy Dunn looked at this study and wrote this article about it. But the reason why I wanted to get my computer is so that I can give credit where credit is due. So this was a study that researchers started at Harvard in 1938,
Oh wow.
right? They recruited 724 participants, and it was a combination of students at Harvard as well as low-income teenage boys in Boston. So they had children from all socioeconomic backgrounds, okay? And they were willing to let their lives be tracked. And they came in every 5 years, or researchers gathered data on them every 5 years. By the
I
time
love those kind of studies.
so this is like probably one of the longest longitudinal studies
Yeah.
out there that has been done on what is now called, 85 years later, it's called the Harvard Study of Adult Development, okay? And
Did it look at their children as well?
yes, so it had expanded to 3 generations, and more than 1,300 descendants of the original subjects.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's incredible. And then, according to the researchers, they said that it's the longest running in-depth study on human happiness in the world.
I'm sure.
Right?
Now I wonder.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting
No, it's
you.
fine.
But this is like how my brain works. I wonder, because they were being studied about happiness.
Yeah.
Did they try and make their lives happier?
Well, I don't know that they knew they were being studied about happiness.
Okay.
So what happened was, and I have to do even more research. I did look at the original study, but and I actually reached out to one of the researchers, because you know me, I'm like, I want to know more. But that they gathered health records from the participants. They asked detailed questions about their lives at 2-year intervals, and then they took DNA samples and performed brain scans at 5-year intervals, I believe. That was the timeline. And so I don't think the participants knew that it was happiness specific.
Oh, okay.
Because what happened, what came out of it, because it's called the Harvard Study of Adult Development.
Yeah.
But one of the overarching themes and takeaways from the study, like one of the very clear findings that came out of the study, is that strong relationships are what make for a happy life, right?
Yeah.
Which we've talked about so much: community, relationships, romantic relationships, etc. More than wealth, IQ, or social class, they say it's the robustness of our bonds that most determine whether we feel fulfilled.
That's true.
And I think it's really true. And I think that we see it. From very early ages. You know, we see it in interactive play amongst children on the elementary school yard. You know, teenagers in high school, college students, if they're living their best life, they've found their friends and they have their people. Women, men, you know, like men who are really happy tend to have a good group of guy friends, you know. Same with women. And one of the questions I get from moms all the time, which I think is really interesting, is it better for my child to have a few really close friends or a lot of so-so friends? And the reality is, I mean, we could do a whole show on this. There isn't one that's better.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons to both. But the idea is that there is community, right? And that there is friendship that carries us through life. So anyways, there's a whole study, and then what Jancy did is she wrote this article, and there's a quiz where you can kind of assess what your friendships are like, you know, where you're at on the spectrum of, are you a good friend? Do you have good friends? How can you strengthen those friendships, etc. And then she has a 7-day challenge, like how to make yourself happier based on your relationships. And so day 1 is to take stock of your relationships. Day 2 is a 2 to 8 minute phone call. You know, it goes on. And so I thought we could also kind of like follow this a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it might be fun for us to take this quiz. We'll do it offline so as not to bore our audience. But I thought it could be fun to take the quiz and see where we're at and see, because it will tell you like, what are the things you need to work on? What are
That's so interesting.
Right?
Dr. Almond also has a quiz to tell you how happy you are.
Okay.
we
Let's
can
do
do that
it.
too.
I'm all about quizzes. You remember when like we were teenagers and we would get, I don't know if when you were in South Africa, there was a magazine here called Teen Beat that had like,
We didn't have
You
that
didn't have-
magazine,
yeah.
but maybe we had
something similar. Yeah,
What-
yeah. So there was this magazine. It came out. I think it was like a monthly magazine called Teen Beat, and it was like, you know, all of like the teen heartthrobs, like the Justin Bieber of my day, essentially, like Kirk Cameron, you know, like all of those guys, all the Coreys, etc. But anyways, there are always all these quizzes. And I used to love taking, like me and my girlfriends, we would like on sleepovers, we would like take the quizzes, you know, like each one of us would have a different colored pen. We'd all go around and do it. We'd read the answers, compare answers, talk about the answers. It would keep us busy for hours. So I thought we could do that.
I'd love that.
Okay.
Are we going to do a sleepover too?
I was going to say we can have a sleepover. I'll break out the champagne. We'll light a fire. It'll be an adult sleepover. Ooh, it'll be so fun. It'll be so fun. Lots of quizzes, lots of gossip. Anyway, so that I thought this was really interesting, and I thought, you know, I think it's very interesting. You know, friendships are very interesting to me, right? Because there are some people who have had friendships for 20, 30, 40 years, and there are some people who have friendships that last 2 to 5 years. You know, there's that saying, people come into your life for a reason or a season.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on, like, do you feel like as an adult woman, you can make new friends that can be really important people in your life, or do you feel like the friends that you've had, like, do you feel like your friendships are strong because of the long bonds, or how do you? I'm just curious, and I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I don't know. That's fine. I think it's all of the above.
Yeah.
But I also feel like you've got to put yourself out there, the same as you do when you're dating. If you want to meet people, you've got to make the efforts to meet people, whether you want it to be in a relationship or be in a friendship. You know, as we've spoken about, my life 2.0, I have very few people in my life from prior to that.
Yeah.
To that mark.
Yeah.
Andy's one of them. But there are very few people and also
Who have crossed over from 1.0 to 2.0, yeah.
From 1 to 2. And it's
Yeah.
also like moving to LA.
Yeah. That's a big, I mean, that was a huge.
Is a big thing to, you know, transform your friendships.
Yeah.
I still speak to a lot of my friends in South Africa who are no longer really in, most of them aren't in South Africa anymore. When I was born, my mother had a dear friend whose daughter was born in September.
Yeah.
And I was born in October. And they came to visit me in the hospital, and we still to this day are friends.
Oh.
We still speak to
lovely.
each other. Our lives really took different paths when we hit like, you know, second, third grade, somewhere around there. But we've stayed in touch. So
And do you think it's the history that binds you together still, or do you still find that?
I think it's more the history that binds us together.
Yeah.
You know, our parents made a big effort for us to continue to stay friends. When we moved to different schools. We were at the same preschool together, and then we went to different schools, but we continuously had a set play date every Friday afternoon. And then once our lives got busier and more, you know, I was focusing more on my dance, as I had dancing every afternoon, and she was focusing on other things, and we kind of drifted apart then. And then I ended up going to the same school as her, but we still didn't have that same.
You had different friends.
We had different friends and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, I've also come to realize is that it's okay to choose different things and want different things in life.
Yeah.
I had a very dear friend who, you know, I thought we'd be friends forever, and it turned out that we didn't. We kind of a situation happened, and we landed up having a fight. But there was no repair done to the relationship.
You have to repair if you want.
You have to repair if you want it, but no one stepped in to repair it.
Yeah. Yeah, and both parties have to want to repair
it.
Because there have been, I mean, I've been in relationships where there's been damage and one person has wanted to repair and the other hasn't. And I've been in relationships, you know, or friendships where there's been damage and both have wanted to repair and we've been able to. And I've also been in relationships where there's been damage and no one's wanted to repair, you know? So I think that's a really key factor. One of the things that I do find is, and this is something that I've really tried to explain to my children and to the kids that I work with, is that damage doesn't mean it's over.
Yeah.
And, you know, and like, actually, I really strongly believe that when we give ourselves and the counterparts in our friendships and relationships the opportunity to repair from damage, often those friendships and relationships are stronger. Yeah, they're stronger because you've gotten through something and you've talked something out and you've really listened and seen the other person.
But you've also developed a tool within your relationship that you're able to talk these things through.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, with my friend, there was an incident and we landed up, and I felt that I was attacked, and I said I needed time, and there was no outreach.
Nothing.
And as time has passed, I feel like I think we've outgrown each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you think it's possible that person thinks that you are going to reach back out to that person when you have had the time that you needed?
No, because we landed up having to have contact about something, and it was like I felt like I was more friendlier on the phone, and they were more matter of fact, and I kind of dealt with it. You know, and I've also, I mean, I've had some interesting ends to friendships actually in the last year.
I have too. So,
which is, I mean, there was someone I thought was like my soul sister, kind of, who completely blindsided me.
Yeah.
And because it was connected to the life 1.0.
Yeah.
That's the way to say it.
Yeah.
I felt completely betrayed, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
There was not even, I don't even care if you want to repair, I am done.
Yeah. And it's interesting when that happens, because I've had that happen.
Because there was one person that I brought over as well,
Yeah.
who was very much involved in my life 1.0. And
Did she get judgmental? Like, was that
no,
without giving away too much or talking about it if you're uncomfortable? Like,
no,
what
I'm
was,
not uncomfortable. I don't care. She knows every detail of my life, like every minor little detail of everything that's gone on, and I know the same for her. And we've had good times and bad times and hard times together, and we've gone through a lot. And she reached out to me and she said, I hope you don't mind. I hope just me sending you this text message is not going to upset you. So obviously you know that that's
yeah, she
already-
knew that she thought it was going
not
to
a good
Yeah.
thing.
If you have to start something that way, it's
Yeah. And she said, I need to ask your ex something. And it wasn't like you couldn't ask a lot of other people.
yeah. She wanted to get in touch with your ex.
She goes, I hope it's not going to upset you that I do that.
Interesting that she even posed the question in the first place. That she thought that it would be okay in the first place, knowing all of the
That's the
details.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I go down the rabbit hole is because at one point in my life, I thought that there was somebody in my life who was reporting back to him. And now I wonder if it was her.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because the person that I thought it wasn't. So, and I didn't think she was the original person that I thought it was. I didn't think she was doing it on purpose. I thought she was doing it, completely by chance, just because it was like connected people, and she might have said something and someone took it out of context, or she said something and they reported back to him. I didn't think that she was directly doing it, but now I think that this other person was directly doing it.
Interesting. That must really have felt like a betrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's the worst kind, when it comes from someone that we thought really had our back, like was our person, our soul sister, Yeah.
So how do you feel about friendships? And
I think friendships are probably up there with like the most important things that we have in our lives, our friends, I obviously didn't take part in this study, but I feel like I could have said, like that. I feel like I could even more from like a community perspective. I think that if you look back at historically speaking, right? If you look back even all the way back to, as you talked about, like at the top of the show, about how innately we are gatherers and hunters, and if you look at the way people lived, they lived together in groups, and if you look at different cultures, they raise kids together, they live in groups, they live in, I don't want to say communes, but community type situations together, and I think that the reason for that is because it makes life better, it just makes life better. And I think we now are living in a time where people tend to move away from families. They don't, live necessarily near close friends because life takes you in different directions. And I think a lot of people feel somewhat or very isolated.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, so growing up, one of my best friends was South African.
I never knew that, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah. In fact, my best friend was South African. And she and I both moved to LA before 4th grade. So her parents relocated from South Africa in 4th grade, or right before 4th grade. And my parents relocated from Northern California. And so we both were starting school at the same time. We latched onto each other. We became fast friends, amazingly close, like in a heartbeat. The trajectory of our friendship doesn't matter, but basically my point is that, we continue to be good friends, ups and downs, whatever. We were friends, but friends have paths, right? Anyways, when we were in college, her parents, who were very close with my family. Like they were almost like, second parents. And they were very, very entrenched in the Jewish South African community here in Los Angeles. They had made tons of friends, but they didn't have family here. Their entire family was back. They would go back to South Africa every year for 1 to 2 months to be with family.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, they would go for a long time. Usually they would go like for the summer, or like a month in the winter. But anyways, the parents saw that the American culture was that a lot of kids would post high school go away to college.
Yeah, it's
and
not a South African thing
right,
at all.
exactly. And they would go away to college, and then they would that was essentially when they were done living near their family. And then after college, they got jobs or they moved to other parts of the right. And they basically said, no, we are not playing in this culture anymore.
Yeah.
Like we want a different life for our family. And they moved to Australia.
Oh, wow.
They ended up taking their kids. I mean, the one that was my age, my friend, she was the oldest of 3 kids, and she had already been admitted to a UC school. So she finished while her parents took the 2 younger children and moved to Sydney. And then she graduated from her UC, and she moved to Sydney as well. And all of the kids, the youngest one, interestingly, because he had been raised the most in the United States, he came to the United States, I want to say he was like a toddler.
Yeah.
And so he had lived here almost his entire life, didn't really remember living at all in South Africa. And he ended up coming to the United States for college. I can't remember where he went. But then all the kids went back, they got married, they had their kids, they're all living near their parents in in Sydney. And they're all very close. And I always remembered that it was so striking to me that they made this very conscious decision to not just play the way that like things play out here, right? It was important to them. Their family was their community. That was priority number 1. And they moved to ensure that they would have a different outcome than what they were seeing here in American culture. So back to your question, I think that we live in a culture in the United States, particularly, where our friends do become equally, if not more important than our family, because so many of us don't live near family or don't have large families. And so I think that our friendships I know for me, like my close friends, I call them my middle of the night friends. And that's like the ones that if I need something in the middle of the night, I can call. And if they need something in the middle of the night, they can call me. And I will never be upset, and they will never be upset, You can
call me, by the way.
I appreciate that. And you can too. I've got your back, even at 2 in the morning. 5 in the morning. It's so funny. I almost sent both of you a text last night when I was done working at like 2:30 in the morning, and I was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna think I'm crazy."
You can.
I was like,
I would have got it a couple hours later.
I know.
A couple hours later when we woke up.
I know.
But your friends do.
Yeah.
I also realized that being in South Africa, but it's so true. That thing in South Africa, like family was so important.
Yeah.
I grew up like that. We spent every Friday night together.
Yeah.
Probably had Sunday lunches together.
Yeah.
When I left South Africa, we were still doing it every Monday night. Our family still do it. If I call them on a Monday, no, gotta go, gotta rush. I've got to get to Tricia. I've got to get dinner on the table. We have dinner together. No matter what it is, no matter what's going on in our lives, every Monday night at 6:30 p.m., you arrive and you will have dinner with your family.
Yeah, and that's lovely. I mean, I think that is really lovely to count on that and to know that exists. And for my girls, that's a little bit like what Friday night, our Shabbat is like. We've gotten out of the habit of doing it with, the last few years, the way that things have been. But it's interesting because both of them said to me when we were going on January 1st, we were talking about the year and just, things that we want to do. Both of them said, we want to do Friday night dinner every week. Yeah. And I loved it too, because my 17-year-old, who's become so social and drives and, is doing whatever she wants half the time with approval, but, doing a lot of very out and about, she said to me, she was like, if you do it, I will be here. I'll be here, and if I'm going to go out, I'll go out after. But I will be here every Friday night. I will have dinner with you. We'll sit down. you know, we will celebrate Shabbat and then like, you know, have that family time. And I just thought, done, like sign, you know, like sign me up. So, but I think, you know, my very good friends are like family. Absolutely.
I do. I have a chosen family, especially being so far away. And, you know, also like losing my parents young, I realized that I had like...
You had to have that.
I had a family, like a big family in South Africa. And, you know, and just, you know, some family moved away and this and like whatever it was. And it's like the matriarch in our family passed away as well. So it's like you don't have those connections that keep you all together.
That happened to me also.
But
Similar.
yeah, I realized that, you know, it's okay to have chosen family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially living here, I have my chosen family.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really important when you don't have a lot of family around. And it's funny because I actually, on my mom's side, have a huge family. Like, I don't, like, lots and lots of cousins. But when my grandmother passed away, when my mom's mom passed away, you know, when I was in college a long time ago, I feel like that was the last time we had a family reunion. Like, I have not seen some of those cousins since then.
Yeah.
And so now I actually feel now like I have a very small family. And the reality is I don't. There's a lot of us out there, but I don't see them. And so I feel like I have a very small family, and I feel like my friends, my close friends, are like family to me. So, and I do think that there's something special about friendship that even supersedes family, you know, that we,
I read
because
something
we're
like that
chosen.
as well this week.
Did you?
Yes,
What
this
was
weekend. It was something about that the friendships you choose are basically, and I can't remember what it said, but it was beautifully written. It was kind of in a quote. It was like, the families you choose and your friendships are more meaningful.
Yeah, because you choose them.
You chose them.
Yeah,
That's
that's how
that
I
you
feel.
want to have in your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like you have the family member that you don't really want to have in your life, but they're family and they're kind of nice, but you hang out with them.
You put up with them because they're family.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm very lucky to say that you know, my aunt, and she's got 2 daughters, and then there's my brother and I, and the 4 of us, or the 5 of us, or whatever, we actually want to spend time together.
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky.
Which is
because
lucky.
you're lucky, and I do have some family where I feel that way too, but not a lot of them. You know, like I have family also that I don't.
I have family that I don't want.
Yeah,
to
and
as well.
and I think that there are a lot of people that don't have any family that they feel that way about.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that there are also a lot of people that have family that they do see, but they'd wish they didn't have to see. You know,
everyone
So
there's a
everyone-
combination. Everyone has a little bit of everything, but I just thinking having those relationships and the sense of community, and just knowing that there's something out there. I mean, if you don't have those relationships, like having a weekend, like there was on this previous, was a 3-day weekend. Like, what do you do with yourself?
Yeah, yeah. It can be very lonely if you don't have that to reach out to that. And that's actually, it's interesting. That's one of the things about divorce, I think, and separation, you know, is even if you have children, like from the perspective of having adult stimulation, it can feel very lonely at times.
Yeah.
And I think that's friendship takes on a very different role when you are separated or divorced, you know.
And I also think that when you get just separated and divorced, is that you sometimes have to make those new relationships.
Yeah. No, totally.
Because people pick sides,
Totally.
or they don't want to get involved, and you just, you know, they were like, oh, well, we liked hanging out.
We could do a
hanging out.
whole show about this,
We
Natasha.
liked hanging out with you and your
your-
other half,
yes.
and now you guys are not together anymore. Like, what are we not going to?
Yeah.
And then you feel like the third wheel, and it's like all of these things. Like
It's hard.
You have to. You know?
Yeah. No, I've had some friends who have navigated that incredibly well, and other friends who have not. And, you know, friends that I'm no longer friends with for that reason. So, it's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's the way that it is.
Yeah.
So, but I think I have been much more intentional about my friendships, about who I want to spend time with and how we spend that time together. And, you know, I know a lot of people who have a lot of plans and see a lot of people, and that works for them, you know, and sometimes that's very, that fills them up in a way where I get filled up more by being with like my close friends and doing things in smaller groups and really having like real conversations with people, you know, as opposed to just being busy all the time.
Well, I think when you're being busy all the time, as I sometimes think of, like, what are you avoiding?
That's so interesting.
It's like you have to be distracted all the time. Why? Like, why don't you want to just be in your own thoughts, or why don't
Yeah.
you want to have a meaningful conversation with somebody?
Yeah.
But I also feel like my time is valuable.
Oh my gosh.
It's so valuable.
So
like,
valuable. Yeah.
to-
It's the only, time is the only, what was I gonna, there's a
we
really
all
good-
have the same amount of it.
yes, thank you. Yeah.
We
that's
all
idea,
have the
yeah.
exact same number of minutes and hours in the day.
And you don't get it back.
You don't get it back, and like, what do you do with it? Like,
Yeah.
um,
It's your most valuable commodity. That's what
Yeah.
I was going to say. Time is your most valuable commodity.
you don't want to just waste it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
As I've gotten older, that's something that I've really learned to protect. It's like even little things like an errand that I could do versus have someone help me with, like, have
Yeah.
groceries delivered or, whatever it is. Like, there are things where sometimes I might pay a little bit more for help because it gives me more, like, my time. It
Yeah.
allows me to either be with my children or to work
to
or
just
focus on myself and
see a friend. Or
yes,
to do,
exactly. Yeah. And time is so precious, and it's the one thing that we all have in common and the one thing you can't get back. So, yeah.
That's true, but that's also like when it comes back to dating,
Yes.
is that, I don't want to just go out with a random person.
Right. Totally.
Or go out with a person that, like, that's why I admire you for sitting with that guy.
For the hour.
At the Starbucks. Is because, like, you knew.
I did, yeah.
You were
did
so
know.
desperate, you were like, can I go to the bathroom and just leave?
I did say that. I did text you that, didn't I? Yeah. It's like, can I just go to the bathroom and not come back? Text him and be like, I'm in the bathroom having an issue. Like, would that be better?
Well, I told you I went to the bathroom
I know, yeah.
to throw up that one time. I could have.
Yeah, totally.
I had to leave.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so fun, as
It has.
always, being
Yes.
here on the show with you today.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much for joining us on
Yes.
Life 2.0 Live. It's been
And-
such a great day.
And stay tuned. Remember, keep watching, keep following us as we sway through our week here at Sway TV Studio Place and Life 2.0.